Welcome, listeners, to the Grand Bouffe, the Big Feast, where we copiously consume international politics and culture through the prism of a single film and a different craft beer each week. And this week, I'm especially proud to have Mr. Theodore Bouloukos with us. Welcome, Theodore.
Welcome. Thank you, Cole. This is. Thank you, Cole. I'm very happy to be here.
The BELLS TWO HEARTED is already kicking in.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I chose this beer because I don't think that one of the problems I have with this movie is I don't think that I don't know who you're supposed to root for, but everyone is definitely two-faced. So I thought two-hearted IPA, not to mention the fact that it's one of my favorite IPAs at 7% alcohol level.
Nice.
So yes, you have brought us to The Last of Shelia, which I was shocked to find is showing on Filmstruck. I fully expected to have to rent it on Amazon or something.
Yeah.
And then I searched it out, and there it was, just lo and behold, waiting on Filmstruck.
It's a real jewel. I mean, it's a fantastic film.
Where did you watch it?
Well, I saw it as an 11-year-old.
Okay. What's the last time you've seen it?
Probably a couple of years ago, perhaps. Mm-hmm. After not having seen it in maybe a decade or so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, I mean, this movie has everything that I value, which is style, intelligence, and a kind of and wit. You know.
But who are you supposed to root for in this movie?
It's not a film that sets itself up as something.
It doesn't have a protagonist. Everybody's an antagonist.
Yeah, everyone is, absolutely. The protagonist perhaps is poor Shelia, who was gunned down in a hit and run, accidentally, really.
Yeah.
Hit after a party in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, Bel Air.
In Bel Air, she's she's struck, and the driver just kept going.
Right.
And of course, the driver is, of course, one of the invited guests to this game that Sheila's husband, played by the delicious, devilish, diabolical James Coburn, has constructed.
Yes, Mr. James Coburn with the biggest shit-eating grin that you will ever see.
Oh yeah,
I love him in The President's Analyst.
Yeah, he's absolutely fantastic in this, and they all are. This is a film that was very, very smartly written by Stephen Sondheim and Anthony Perkins.
Yeah, that's the big hook, right? That these two guys, who you would never guess would ever write a movie together, wrote this.
Well, oddly enough, the sort of genesis behind that is that they used to construct these sort of whodunits for dinner parties they gave.
Right.
And it was out of these sort of this parlor game that they did at their dinner parties that they decided to write what is both a bigger whodunit in the manner of Sleuth, with Anthony Schaefer's play that would later become a film with Laurence Olivier and Michael Caine, which oddly enough would also inspire Death Trap with Michael Caine and Christopher Reeve in 1982.
Okay.
But so this had its origins, its provenance in these parlor games that they would play at their dinner parties, and at the same time, it takes a stab, no pun intended, at Hollywood personages. Right?
Yes.
So Diane Cannon is supposed to be Susie Menkes. They were also.
Oh, okay.
Digging.
So yeah, give us the dirt. I want to know who's.
I mean, I don't know who exactly is whom, but they're all people who are sort of archetypes of Hollywood personages, but also specific people. I really only know the Diane Cannon character was supposed to be. She's a hotshot agent who's also a total cunt. So
and perhaps a lesbian.
Well, absolutely. So yeah.
So let's talk about how Coburn's character, Clinton. And they love to say his name over and over and over. Clinton.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's a person they have to like,
because he's a sort of a powerful producer or whatever he is, a director.
Yeah.
No, he's a producer. He's a studio bigwig,
Maverick,
and so he's somebody
and
who,
a ravenous hippie.
Well, he's somebody who is, like in any industry, somebody powerful one has to contend with, and so I'm not sure any of them likes him, but they tolerate him.
Mm-hmm. So he's not quite Harvey Weinstein, but he's in that direction.
He's in the direction of that. Well, we don't see any predation.
But we hear about it about James Mason's character.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, but we hear and then more.
And they make light of it. It's a little disturbing the way it's handled.
This is 1973.
Because the girl who he molested thanks him for having molested her when she was younger in the beginning. I don't know if that would fly. That really flies.
No, this is not a Me Too movie. No.
No.
Well, that's part of also what I love about it.
Okay.
This was done in a climate of sort of very post sexual revolution, licentiousness that allowed Roman Polanski to get away with as much as he did.
Yeah.
It was a different climate. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 56, and I was very precocious.
You're 1 year older than I am.
Okay, well, I was a very precocious 10, 11, 12-year-old, and I paid attention to this kind of stuff.
No, I was the same way. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, and I had a great art house cinema, The Biograph, 2.5 blocks from my home. And I just had a guest on, Rick Crum. We did Young Frankenstein, and I was talking about how I'd seen the movie when it came out. I was 11.
Sure.
And then dragged my parents to it. And I was a little worried because it's so ribald what my parents would think about me dragging them to this ribald comedy.
Well, my mother took me to see The Sailor Who Fell with Grace from the Sea with Sarah Miles.
Oh, wow.
Masturbating in a bathtub. I didn't even know women could masturbate. I was 13 going on 14.
Oh, so you learned something.
I was, it was an educational movie. I saw The Passenger just before going off to sleepaway camp. I was 13. I mean, I saw Shampoo.
Yeah.
Right when I was 13.
Right. Yeah, right when those movies came out.
Yeah.
It was such a great time for cinema.
It was, and it was. I think too that my parents recognized that they weren't shielding me by denying me, because I was very much a kind of a cinephile.
Where did you grow up?
In Albany, New York.
Oh, okay.
But with proxiimity to New York, because my mother was from New York City.
But
that we came
did
down
you
here
did you have art houses in Albany?
We had actually 2 theaters that showed. I don't want to say art house, because we would have one later. In my early 20s, one would be kind of a revival house that really, really introduced me very early on. I'd say 81, 82 to what would become the flowering of independent cinema as we know it today.
Right.
With
Return of the Secaucus 7.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and John Sayles was from Schenectady,
right,
and had gone to Williams, which is not far from what's called the Capital Region. In fact, Western Massachusetts is part of the Capital Region. So. Yes, The Return of the Secaucus 7.
My Dinner with Andre.
My Dinner with Andre, Diva, Eraserhead, that whole...
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, I guess so. But that had come out in 72 and really became a cult film among people who... high schoolers and people who sort of spent their social lives in malls. I remember seeing that in 1978 maybe, and I didn't understand the I thought it was amusing, I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah, it came out in 75.
75?
Yeah.
I didn't in 75. I remember loving Love and Death, but Rocky Horror was amusing, but I could never imagine going weekly as my contemporaries, not people I knew, but.
Well, I was about 14, and I had a couple of friends of mine, Ann and Jimmy. They were boyfriend girlfriend, and they came over running up into my apartment and saying, "Okay, we got to get rice, and we got to get water bottles and newspapers." And I had the best time, and I think I saw it probably a dozen times.
Yeah, no, I saw it once, unprepared for any of that.
And this this is like 79.
Yeah,
I
would
think when
say
I saw it
about 78,
in
77,
Richmond.
78.
And I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean,
Yeah.
the music, the soundtrack for one thing is just amazing.
Oh,
I could
I
listen
mean,
to that thing all
grew
day
up-
long.
I mean, my
and
first
Susan Sarandon and Barry Bostwick are just incredible. They're really great.
Yeah, no, they're good.
And of course, I mean Tim Curry.
Yes,
And
I liked musicals because the first films I saw were that have.
Do you like Tim Curry?
I like him very much.
He had some really great records. That album Simplicity that he did is terrific.
But I didn't listen to that kind of. I didn't see a film like that as understanding its cult status. Do you know what I mean?
Were you into punk rock?
Yeah, punk, new wave, sort of. Yeah.
The Clash?
My brother, more so.
Elvis Costello?
Absolutely. Loved Elvis Costello.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah. But I didn't... I guess maybe I saw some punk connection to it. But I was at a boys' prep school.
Well, you're an actor, so I'm curious.
It was
we
very traditional.
talk about people like Tim Curry, who I think just an incredible performer, great actor.
I loved him in the new Family Affair in 2002. I'm sorry that show didn't fly. That was a beloved sitcom of my youth that I was so excited about when they brought it back. But
I'm curious about how you got the acting bug.
Oh well, I
guess
think,
for
I think
our
it was dormant. I think it
for our-
was something always there. But I had studied art history. I knew a lot of artists, and I found myself doing a lot of video art just as the technology was enabling everybody to become filmmaker.
Okay.
Right? So as digital technology emerged, my interest and pursuit of a career.
What year was that?
That's probably at the 2002. 2003.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I see. What were you doing? What were you doing before that?
I was a writer. I was writing reporting journalism.
Who did you write for?
Well, I wrote feature stories for society magazines and the Wall
Okay.
Street Journal, and I covered the auction houses, and I did things like that.
I see.
So I had a very Upper East Side beat.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're an Upper East Side guy.
I am. I live 7 blocks from you.
All of our listeners should know that we're here in Carnegie Hill. I'm sure regular listeners know where we're located. Beautiful Carnegie Hill, which technically lies between 86th and 96th, and between 5th and Lexington.
Yes, I know technically, but we were annexed because real estate is just too precious to simply say no. You're East Harlem.
Right.
You know, we moved to East
or
Harlem.
Spanish Harlem.
Well, yeah, but that really doesn't. Well, actually, when I moved here, it still had elements of it. You know what I mean? Marymount took over their middle school, took over a classic Catholic parochial school for Hispanic kids. You know, but that block on my street, between where we are now, between Park and Lex, was filled with drugs. Now you've got this like.
Well, the Marx Brothers grew up 3 blocks from here, and they used to talk about how you'd have to, to get through past the avenues, you had to give somebody, like you had to take something, out of your house, like you had to pay them like a coin or give them some little token just to pass, just to get.
These were the spotters who were patrol, because I had spotters on my block.
I don't know what they were called. I think they were just thugs.
Yeah, well, they were the thugs who basically kept a lookout for the cops and things like that. And they were sort of like, I think they were called spotters.
What year was this?
Well, when I moved here, but I knew them in the East Village though, in the early '90s when I moved here. Okay. And then I didn't move up here until '96.
Oh, you're only a year ahead of me.
January of 1996.
You're a year older and a year ahead of me in this neighborhood.
So how many years is that?
22.
22 years.
I moved here July 1st of 97.
Okay. But how long had you been in New York though?
That was it. I had
been here since 91.
I had visited New York just a couple of times before. And moved from the Sunset District of San Francisco by the rugged ocean there.
Okay.
To New York City because I couldn't stand the West Coast or the
really
or the small town that thinks it's a big town anymore. San Francisco is not a big
Charming,
town.
though. No, it's not. It's
Very provincial.
It's like Boston. I mean, it's which is charming in its own way too. The thing is that
Not as and it's true. It's kind of racist like Boston too. San Francisco is an oddly racist place for such a minority-driven culture.
Yeah, I suppose so. But you asked me about the acting. So what happened was that I found myself doing a lot of video art, and I kind of realized, I think perhaps, that this was something I wanted to do. And after 9/11, I think a lot of us were reevaluating our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just decided to go great guns and pursue it.
That's great.
I haven't regretted it.
See, we were introduced by our mutual friend Adam Shartoff, who's been on this program a couple times, and you've been on his Film Wax program a couple of times. So shout out to Mr. Shartoff.
Absolutely.
But I want to get back to this
tip of the hat there.
Tip of the hat to this very cuckoo movie, which has a very long centerpiece of explanation, where it's not so much exposition, although there is a lot of exposition in it, where everyone tries to come clean about who they are, because our leader in this puzzle, James Coburn, has given out these cards, and everyone has to.
They all contain a secret of someone else.
A secret fact about somebody else. So we have the homosexual. We have the hit and run killer.
Or hit and run driver. Kleptomaniac.
That's right. Lesbian or homosexual. Sorry,
yes.
Homosexual. Which I guess
it's
cuts both ways.
Well, then it would have. It would have been a term that people would have used, sort of, and I think you could still use it.
Of course. It's kind of odd how that word is always thought of as pertaining to men, but it really is.
I mean, it's right
because it has homo, which means
man, but it's really mankind.
Yeah.
A kleptomaniac, we mentioned that.
Yeah.
Little child molester.
Oh yeah, very strange play on the letters there.
Well, I think what you realize is that early on, and I don't think this gives anything away, is that each of the secrets is contained in the first name.
The first letter of Sheila. Or the letters of Sheila. Which is
also the name of his yacht.
Which is huge.
Okay.
This is a big boat. This is a mini Titanic. This thing is a big.
It's a yacht.
I wouldn't call this a yacht. This thing is huge.
No, it's
massive.
No, it's a yacht. I mean,
it's a gigantic yacht. This thing's got to be like 140 feet long.
They shot it in the waters of the south of France.
Well, this is my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
Because they pretend there's a scene at the end when they all come back to shore, and they talk about staying at the Majestic, but they're in Antibes. They're not in Cannes. And I've been in Cannes. I've spent 20 weeks of my life in Cannes. I'm proud to say, and I hopefully will spend another 20 there. And when they showed the fort where all of the action and the big turning point of the story takes place, I recognized right away that fort, because I have it on my desktop screensaver. That exact fort, because that is on Saint Honorat Island, and there's two islands off the shore of Cannes. There's Saint Marguerite, which is huge, and that's where the man in the Iron Mask was imprisoned. And then behind that, a mile off the shore, is Saint Honorat, and there are monks that live there. They make wine, and you can take a boat out there, and you can walk around the island in about 45 minutes.
That sequence too.
It's so great. I love it.
They use Nice, of course, because that's where you fly into.
Yeah,
and Monte Carlo, and
do they use Monte Carlo?
I think they use it in some parts of it. I mean, they filmed all over
the south of France, but they didn't really shoot anything in Cannes. I don't.
No, I don't think so. Cap d'Antibes, maybe Cap Ferrat. Like some of the more. I don't know. I mean, outside of the film festival, do a lot of people go to Cannes?
I don't know.
I don't know that it's Cap d'Antibes is really the more
hip, the hip place.
Chic. Yeah, this movie is chic.
What year is this movie?
1973.
Okay.
but it remains chic, though. It remains.
And Richard Benjamin, this guy was everywhere.
Well,
He was on television. You could not turn on the TV and not see this guy.
Well, he had a sitcom with his wife, Paula Prentice, in 1967 called He and She, which was one of the first really sophisticated sitcoms in an era when you had shows like the aforementioned Family Affair, all of the rural comedies on CBS like Beverly Hillbillies.
I always think of The Courtship of Eddie's Father.
Yes, well, that would come later in 1969-70. Yeah, okay.
And then later than that, when Bill Bixby played the Magician, what was that?
That was
The Magician. Yeah.
Yes, 1973.
I like that show too.
74.
Wow.
Yeah. He died very young. But
and he was so good.
He was so good.
I just have to tell you, by the way, that I was in Midtown today,
Yeah.
and I like to have lunch at the Hello Deli. You know where that is, right around the corner from the Late Show and now the Colbert Show.
Oh yes.
So I'm eating my. I just have to tell. This is completely off
Well,
subject.
Applejack Diner is one of my favorites.
I love to go to an old school deli where they treat you great.
Yeah.
They're really glad that you're there.
Yeah.
I was enjoying my tuna with lettuce and tomato on sourdough.
That's exactly what I had.
With a large coffee, and I see Stephen Colbert's limo pull up. And he gets out, and I was trying to grab my phone because I wanted to get a picture. You know, I was sitting in the window, like, I can get this. And that little guy is quick. He's like a squirrel. All of a sudden, he was out of the car and going. I mean, and he's a little guy, too. You know, they always talk about, you know, of course, like actors are small, whatever, you know, Dustin Hoffman, Tom Cruise, whatever. Yeah, he was slithery. The guy was small. He looked like he was about 5'5".
He's probably done that. He does that every day.
He's so quick.
And he knows how
He got out of that limo and into that stage door in about a second and a half.
Yeah.
Really quick.
Yeah.
Wow. Really quick. But anyway, that's my celebrity sighting for the day. I love celebrity sightings.
But no,
I always, I give a walking tour, and I love to talk about all the celebrities. We have to just do a little sidetrack, just talk about celebrities, because I've seen I know you have too, so we got to talk about it. I've seen Sigourney Weaver, I've seen Helen Mirren, I've seen in this neighborhood Woody Allen, Sun Yi, Harry Belafonte,
Diane Wiest. Peggy Noonan.
Yeah, come on.
Joanne Woodward and Paul Newman.
In this neighborhood.
That's
right.
This is over time now.
This is all over time. Lucas Hedges, I saw, the young actor. Lucas Hedges.
Ricky and Ralph Lauren, of course, live not far from where the Woodward Newmans lived.
Okay.
Bette Midler lives a few blocks up from me.
Yeah, 94th,
Sigourney Weaver
94th and
lives on
5th.
Sutton Place.
Oh, where's that?
Oh, that's near Beekman. That's all the way over on the river in the 50s. That's a very chic area.
She must have been shooting something in this neighborhood.
Possibly, or she could have been just,
She's so tall. Oh
She's
my God!
very
She
tall.
walked by me. I couldn't believe.
Well,
how
actually,
I felt like she was 7 feet tall.
I saw her in the up in the Adirondacks, because that's where she and Jim Simpson have I believe, some kind of a summer place. They have a camp up there, and my family, my mother lives up there in the
Adirondacks.
Near Lake George.
Beautiful, beautiful up there.
So it must have been a big box store or something, but she's visible. I've seen a lot of people over time. I can't even.
Helen Mirren was my big one. That was recently, and I was sick as a dog. It was the Starbucks. It's now gone at 92nd and 3rd, and she's there, and they call, I don't know what name they called out, but she said, "That's me," in the clearest as a bell voice. And I turned and I looked, and she had that little bob haircut that she's currently sporting, and I was dying because I couldn't. I kept thinking The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover, but I couldn't get out. Because of course I wanted to tell her that she's the bee's knees, but she already knows that. So she can do fine without me telling her anything.
Well, the East 50s used to be the place where a lot of established actors lived. Yeah, I mean Katharine Hepburn.
Down by near the Beekman. The old where the Beekman's gone now.
Well, the Beekman Theater.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. What that area that's known as Turtle Bay.
Kips Bay, yeah.
Well, that's farther down.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Turtle Bay. Turtle Bay is in the 40s.
Yeah,
East 40s.
50s.
Oh, 50s.
Yeah, it's 49th Street. It's like it's Stephen Sondheim, to bring it full circle.
There we go.
Lived there as well.
Oh.
Okay, they all share an adjoining backyard.
Oh.
And they're all brownstones. Yeah. It's really,
Tallulah Bankhead and Montgomery Clift lived on the same physical block.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, 61st and 62nd
yeah.
between second and third.
Constance Cornell, I believe her name was, a great stage actress. Catherine Cornell.
You know anything about the Sewing Circle, dare I ask?
Yes, I know all about those ladies. Yeah. Agnes Moorehead and
Tallulah Bankhead.
Yeah. Oh, Tallulah was a big Les.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she always said, Daddy warned me about men and booze, but he never said nothing about women and cocaine.
Nice. Nice. We got to bring up Tallulah once in a while, just because Tallulah is such a terrific name.
She was really a character.
Yeah.
She did a.
They don't cut them like that anymore.
No, they don't. Are you kidding? She was so completely louche, and so
louche. Did you say?
Yeah. Just completely outre in her behavior. She just didn't give a fuck. Really.
Like Iggy Pop.
Well, he's much more of an adherent to. He's
Dionysian revelry.
Yeah, I think she was just somebody she was a senator's daughter. She had grown up in privilege. She was a star of the stage. She just didn't give a shit. She didn't play by anybody's rules. She had done a guest spot on what became the Lucy Desi Hour after I Love Lucy.
Oh yeah, she was notorious by that time.
Yeah.
She was really a lush. They had a hard time. She was hard to wrangle.
Well, Lucy, absolutely. Really, really despised her. Lucy was a total pro.
Yeah.
And Tallulah was not.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the oil and water there.
Oh boy.
And she was just drunk on set. It was just really.
Yeah, it was,
I don't know how they managed to shoot that episode. I don't know, but that's probably Lucy's steely fortitude.
Well, that's what they always talk about with Marilyn. Who by the way lived on East 78th Street between Park and Lex, and you can rent her townhouse, her former townhouse, for $27,500 a month.
Why would anybody want to? I mean,
just because she lived there.
Just
because it's Marilyn's old place.
I never understood the cult of Marilyn Monroe.
Really?
No. She was not a beauty. She was.
Oh yeah. Oh come on. You can't say Marilyn Monroe wasn't a beauty.
How could she possibly be a beauty in an age when Ava Gardner and Elizabeth Taylor and even Gene Tierney were.
Well, Jack Kennedy.
No, I don't give a shit what Jack Kennedy liked. He fucked Judith Exner. That man would have.
This is the dishiest version of Le Grand Bouffe that we've had.
No, you get me on.
But I tell you, there's a great documentary about the Carlisle Hotel coming out.
Joan Hackett, one of the great actors we lost too soon.
Yeah, let's talk about her. I really want to talk about her because she was in They All Laughed.
Yeah, she was in They All Laughed.
You know that? The Bogdanovich film.
Yes, that was probably
with Dorothy Stratton.
One of the last films she made. She actually, I think she died after she made Only When I Laugh with, not Only When I Laugh. Yeah, Only When I Laugh. Right.
That's funny that she had two movies with laugh in the title.
Neil Simon film with Christy McNichol and Marsha Mason.
Christy McNichol, there's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Well,
I had a crush on her.
She was
not as much of a crush as I had on Mariel Hemingway, but
I thought
those Noxzema commercials were amazing.
I thought Mariel Hemingway was just the bee's knees.
Oh my goodness, those cheekbones were just to die for.
And it's very funny. I saw this movie. We're really covering the waterfront here.
Yeah,
but it was very funny to see her daughter in a movie called Love After Love recently with Matt Salinger in the film too. So you have the great granddaughter of Ernest Hemingway with J.D. Salinger's son.
J.D. Salinger, by the way, who lived on this physical block. You know that?
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
91st and Park.
Well, I learned from reading that profile of Jeffrey Tambor in this week's. Excuse me, that tuna fish from the Gourmet Garage is repeating. This week's Hollywood Reporter, that for years he lived on 100 and 2nd.
Who is this?
Jeffrey Tambor.
Oh, really?
Yep, on 100th and 2nd. And there was apparently
what cross street?
100th Street.
Wait a minute.
100th and 2nd Avenue.
Oh, 102nd. I see.
No.
2nd.
100th and 2nd Ave.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So,
That's Spanish Harlem.
That is Spanish Harlem.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I've only recently returned to 2nd Avenue. I mean, and I can really kind of bracket it.
I swim at Asphalt Green, so I cross Second Avenue all the time.
The closing of Elaine's
Oh.
to the opening of the queue.
Uh-huh.
Complete abandonment of Second Avenue for me.
Yeah.
Which is, Spencer.
I know. I always wanted.
Spence Chapin Thrift was one of my Saturday must-dos.
I always wanted to be that cool Upper East Side writer that could go and write in the morning and then just go drink at Elaine's every afternoon.
Well,
from 2
I had
o'clock
done.
on.
I had written. I used to write for a magazine called Index, that the painter Peter Halley published, and I actually interviewed her for it. And she told me it was one of her favorite interviews.
No.
And after that, I always got the table I wanted, which was right in the front near the bar, second one.
Oh, at Elaine's?
At Elaine's,
Uh-huh.
because I like to smoke. And, of course, one could still do that before.
Smoke what?
Cigarettes.
No, I'm just
Yes.
curious. I don't know.
No, I like to smoke pot too,
Okay.
but I mean, in public, I don't do that. In
Right.
public, I used to be able to enjoy
Right.
back in a more civilized era.
Yeah.
A cigarette at dinner,
Yeah.
at table,
Yeah.
at a place like Elaine's where the food was, look, I'm not a foodie. The food was more than adequate, and actually, they made a very good steak.
Uh-huh.
And it was at Elaine's that I met and got to be very close to.
Why did
Susan
Elaine's close? Because
Because
Woody
she died.
And then that was it.
She died. She left it to her manager, Diane. It didn't have the same.
Now it's a restaurant called the Writers' Room, which makes no sense.
I go like this. I walk by like this. So I
Oh
have to look
no!
at it.
Oh,
It
no.
hurts so badly to see that. I can't even as a New Yorker and as somebody who
People don't know, by the way, listeners don't know, Elaine's was a dyed-in-the-wool Upper East Side location to see and be seen, located on Second Ave between 89th and 90th.
It opened in the West Village back in the late 50s and early 60s.
Joan Hackett was born in East Harlem, I should point out.
Oh, did you look that up?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, she was born on March 1st of 34 and passed away on October 8th of 83.
Yeah, she was very young.
In Encino,
She was
California,
beautiful,
of
beautiful
ovarian
woman.
cancer.
Beautiful woman, and she sort of plays.
Well, she's the bait.
Well, she's the daughter of one
In
of the
the- in the
studio
story.
heads, right?
Yeah.
So
and-
she's
and-
somebody
and
like.
is she the girlfriend or is she Richard Benjamin's wife or girlfriend?
Wife.
She is the
Yes.
wife.
Yes.
He doesn't give a fuck about
Well,
her.
he's married her. I
For
think
for her money.
he loves her.
It's very clear.
But
He's not that broken up when
no,
she shows up.
No, and he's sort of a middling director. He's looking for a hit. So, and I think Clinton has promised him a film or something like that, if I recall.
Yeah, see that's another thing about the motivation in this movie. Circling back, okay,
Look, Ebert gave it almost 5 stars.
I don't give a fuck about it. Don't get me started on Roger
okay,
Ebert.
okay.
That asshole. I met him many times
Yeah.
in Cannes, hung out with him.
No, but I mean
and
a
then-
lot of critics,
and then
whether
he-
you like them or not.
And then
he
he dissed me, for no reason. And I just, at the time, I paid him his due respect because
Yeah.
I have a huge respect for him, and I wasn't gonna say.
Did he diss
I
you, or
wasn't.
did he just simply not remember you?
No. What happened was I had written a capsule review for this movie, Goodbye Solo, I think it's called, and because
Who made that?
I'll look it up. But anyway, the point is the Times critic called it a neo-neorealist film, which is total baloney. I mean, New York Times, you don't know genres. You shouldn't even have that job. I'll take your job because I know genres, and you don't even know what neorealism is or neo-neoreal. You're creating shite. Anyway, so somebody called me out on dissing this movie, and Ebert shot back about, oh yeah, smartest. Didn't even get like smartest film critic in the world, like whatever. I would expect more. He just took cheap shots, and
Really?
yeah, and I felt like, man, look, why you gotta punch down is what I'm getting at. You know what? About punching down, right? You're Roger Ebert. I write for little alt weeklies. Why are you gotta beat me up? Especially because you and your wife sat in front of me at Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in Cannes.
Yes, now
Tell
I know
me.
this film. Ramin Barani.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The guy who did Chop Shop.
Yes, and also Man Pushcart.
Yeah.
which I auditioned for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. It's an okay movie, but it's nothing special. And
Yeah.
if you want to talk about neorealism, we can talk about that. But that's a different subject because this movie is not that. Anyway.
Well, I like this kind of a movie because it has glamour.
Yeah.
Which we see too little of these days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
though I think James Coburn is so over the top that it's a little too much.
Well, he's
and why has he got to dress up like a lady? I felt like all of a sudden we're in The Tenant with Roman Polanski.
Oh yeah. Well, he's
with the lipstick.
Yeah.
He's a cross-dresser. Obviously,
he could be
clearly.
or
Well,
could have
he
been.
was.
But the point is, he's trying to
cross-dressed.
throw them all off the track. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they know it's him.
Well, only one of them does.
Oh yeah.
Right? Or
Okay.
or do they actually?
I think they all know.
I think when they get into the confessional, they all recognize that it's Clinton's voice.
Yeah.
But only one of them. Well, I think the interesting thing is the game changes because what is set out to be a game in which he plays with the fear and anxiety of all these people who have concealed a secret from one another that they don't want imparted. The game changes when Clinton is murdered,
Right.
And then of course the whodunit switches sort of shifts anyway because we're still curious to know.
My problem with the movie is I just didn't have any skin in the game. I wish that there had been somebody to root for, but there's no one to root for. So you're there.
Well, that's the beauty of it.
I don't think that's beautiful. I don't think that's good dramaturgy. I think it's lazy. I think it's messy. It's sloppy.
It wasn't messy at all. In fact, it was anything but.
You took a budget.
It's an incredibly intelligently airtight thriller.
It's not airtight.
It is airtight.
Well, come on. Listen.
Because right up until the end, you really don't know what. It keeps unraveling.
Well, you kind of do, and when it gets to the big showdown between I won't say who trying to strangle I won't say who, but
it's a smart film.
But it does. But listen, if somebody tried to strangle me. And then somebody else walked in and acted like, okay, we're gonna pretend like this never happened. Wait a minute, I'm not gonna endorse that just because you said I don't have to. I don't have to.
Well,
grudge.
It was all part of the game, though. You see, it's not.
I don't see.
No. It's all sporting fun. It's all part of the. It's all gamesmanship.
It's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye or he gets killed, and in this case, some people do die.
Yeah, and
I'll tell you.
Notice how they keep going on.
I'll tell you the one scene that I love the most.
There's no sort of like
that I think,
collective grief or anything.
That I think Steven Spielberg, when he got the idea for Jaws, for how to film Jaws, I think that he got it from the propeller scene. In this movie, because that is the most suspenseful. It's really gut-wrenching. There is one gut-wrenching bit of suspense that occurs in the movie, and it involves a scantily clad woman.
And since they're only
she's on. What are those floating things called? I don't know. She's on an inflatable
raft or something.
Inflatable
raft
thing,
little,
and she's very close to this giant ship's propeller. All right, I want to talk about Anthony Perkins because Anthony Perkins did co-write it with Stephen Sondheim. So let's talk about Perkins and Sondheim. Your favorite Sondheim musical?
Company.
Okay, tell me why Company is your favorite.
No, I'm sorry. Well, I like Company. I like the
because that's one that Broadway has. That Broadway has.
I like Follies too. I mean, my God, I'm still here.
That they have not redone.
Well, I think Company is actually going to be revived in the next year or two. I've heard that it's that they're reviving it.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I just like Sondheim. I think I'm not a musical person, but I like his music. You know what I mean? I'm not a big Lerner and Lowe, Rodgers and Hammerstein. Most of it is just a little too, oh my God, Oklahoma.
Yeah. See, West Side Story is my favorite musical. I think it's between West Side.
That's Leonard Bernstein, right?
Yeah, but I think didn't Sondheim work on that?
Did he?
Yes, he
Okay.
wrote the lyrics.
Oh, he wrote the lyrics. Okay. Yeah, that's a smart musical. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, he writes smart music. I mean, non-saccharine, I guess in this case is what I'm trying to go for.
All right, so
Which is what I think of when I think of the average Broadway show.
All right,
Saccharine music.
let's cut to Perkins, because Perkins is
Perkins I just adore because he was always an actor I admired. The thing is, you asked me earlier about wanting to become an actor, or
Yeah.
I mean, certainly what digital technology did was it enabled me to pursue what had been a very dormant dream that I thought, given the age and lack of pursuit theretofore, that I never would have been able to do. And so the idea that in my 30s I could actually, have become an actor and work at it, and and really, really work and train.
Have you ever seen Phaedra with Anthony Perkins?
Yes, I have. Yes, and
He's
Melina
so
McCoy.
good. Yes, he's
Yes.
so good
Well,
in that. I mean, it's a very icky.
Well,
icky.
the thing with that film is that
incest
Jock.
movie.
Yes, of course, but what's her name? Gloria Graham actually took her 13-year-old stepson to bed, and then later married him. Yeah. Now I love her. I adore her. Great, sort of.
I don't know if it's. I don't know if
Film
you can.
noir.
I don't know if you can adore her.
No, I can adore her. And Annette Bening just played her in that film she did about the movie stars don't die in Liverpool or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah.
That's about Gloria Graham.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it? No, I haven't seen that film. Did
with
you see
with
it?
another younger, not yet, with another younger lover who really nursed
Well,
her.
I love Annette Bening. She has a version of the Seagull.
Yes, coming out.
That's coming out very soon.
Yep.
And my
Elizabeth
wife
Moss is in that too, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of Elizabeth Moss, but that's
I don't love
another
her.
story.
I don't love her. I don't hate her. I'm indifferent. I don't. But I'm saying she's also in the cast.
Yeah, she's always in the cast. But my wife and I did recently rewatch The Grifters because I can never turn that movie down.
Yeah.
And Annette Bening,
Yeah,
Angelica
no, she's-
Houston,
oh,
John
Angelica
Cusack,
Houston.
they're all three
Absolutely.
just at the top of their game,
Top spin.
and it's just
so
so
good.
damn
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
You just sink your teeth in it.
But to go back to Anthony Perkins.
Yeah, because everyone
So,
just
yes.
thinks of Psycho.
Oh no, I mean not thinking people, just average people. Phaedra is an interesting movie because Jules Dassin, directed it. He was married to Melina McCoy.
Right, everybody thinks he's French, but he's really American.
I know. I love when people say Jules Dassin.
Right.
No,
Dassin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's Jules Dassin.
Yeah, he was.
And even that,
he was.
I think
he was
made up.
blacklisted. He
Oh,
was.
yeah,
he was
yeah,
one
he
of the
was.
victims of the McCarthy
He
blacklist,
was,
and
he
he
was,
and he
yeah.
split and he split to
Yeah.
France and Italy and got
Yeah.
married and just reinvented his whole film career
as a European director.
as a European director.
I happen
Yeah.
to like, I like his work. I love Melina McCoy. My being Greek,
Oh, yeah, she's great.
notwithstanding.
Uh-huh.
I mean, in fact, her talk about. We're talking about lesbians. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little looped on this. What did you say? 7% alcohol?
Yeah. No, I've already finished
goodness.
mine. You're behind the times.
Well, kiddo, I have to. I'm trying to sound both articulate and lucid. But that scene in Once Is Not Enough with Alexis Smith and Melina McCoy as lovers in the Jacqueline Suzanne, that was her third novel. After Valley of the Dolls came
I always think of
The Love Machine, which 1971. The novel came out in 1969. The movie 71. Diane Cannon, to bring it back to this,
adult
is
books.
in The Love Machine. But by the time they made Once Is Not Enough, which was her third blockbuster novel, and she would die of cancer the next year.
And who is the happy hooker? All these
That's
70s
Xavier Holler.
Xavier Holler, all these 70s references
Yeah.
just come rushing in.
Yeah, well, this is my most sentient awakening. This was the flowering of my sentience.
I remember my parents
as an aesthete, really.
having copies of the Happy Hooker.
Oh yeah,
in the house and stuff.
Sure. The Joy of Sex.
All this, yeah.
And all those things. The sensuous man, the sensuous woman.
It's so strange to me how we went through this period of sexual liberation. I remember,
Yeah.
I lived in Richmond,
And
Virginia.
now we're complete prudes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I grew up near VCU, and I remember when streaking was popular, seeing 20 or 30 nude college students running down my sidewalk.
Oh my God, yes.
And it was fun. It was
God, yeah.
super fun, and people were into having fun. And now, fun is verboten. It's just amazing to me how this country has turned so, and it's a hard right wing.
It's not though. It's not
tilt.
entirely. Okay, yes, the alt-right...
Well, there's nothing liberal about it.
No, but the liberals are the ones driving Me Too and all of the PC, awareness
it's funny,
that
isn't it?
keeps
when you
a lot of fun from happening.
Well, it's funny when you pull the extremes together, how similar they are.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a whole school of thinking about neoliberalism.
I want neo-lesbianism. That sounded good. I was on the tip of your tongue. I just had to spell it out.
Yeah, but you can't say that.
Neo-lesbianism?
No, because the kind of lesbianism you're interested in is a white heterosexual. We have to add cis. We have to add cis male.
I'm not
because
I'm not interested
you're
in
not.
it.
You can't just be a heterosexual male.
I'm just a fan.
There's now a distinction between you're being born with a penis or you're adopting a male gender.
I hate it when that happens. That's got to go. That's got to stop.
Oh, dude. Well, yeah. You're
Good
taking
luck with that.
You're taking on the
No.
the PC police there.
No.
That's why you won't see a movie like this.
Well,
and I came of age in that era.
The Cannes Film Festival is going on right as we speak.
Yeah.
And I always eat my heart out because I have dreams. I really have dreams about being in Cannes while the Cannes Film Festival is going on because I just love it so much and I'm used to it. I'm used to being there. Uh-huh. And this year they have a sexual harassment hotline at the festival. So I guess if anyone looks at somebody sideways, they're going to call that. They're going to call.
That is a problem. I agree with you.
They're going to call the heat on you.
At what point does flirtation equal predation? Okay, and that's the problem with all of it.
You got to have blinders on.
Do you though? But do you sanction the behavior of a Harvey Weinstein who clearly ruined people's livelihoods?
Yeah, he
kept them from earning a living.
He was a bad animal.
I mean,
he was a bad animal, and it's just shocking that
the problem is the conflation of what is harmless flirtation.
Yeah.
Among two consenting adults,
I know.
or even two adults who happen to be like, she can easily say, thanks, not interested, and he is not going to pursue it any further.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
And then the extreme of Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
It's insane how things have been conflated.
But for years there were more Harvey Weinsteins than we care to admit.
Sure.
There was a casting couch, and I think
from
in
from the beginning
we see Raquel Welch sort of hinted at having had to do some sort of her character having been compromised or something.
I always want Raquel Welch to have an exotic accent. She's so American.
Oh, but she had a very ladylike accent. Didn't you ever watch her like on Merv Griffin or one of those?
Well, why doesn't she have it here?
Well, she does. I mean, but it's not.
She does. I want her to be exotic, and then she comes across like she's from Iowa.
I think she's got a very ladylike accent.
Yeah,
here.
no, but ladylike isn't an accent. I'm talking about an accent.
No, I'm talking about like the kind of accent that actors used to have that was sort of schooled in them to sound a little slightly mid-Atlantic. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean. I want her to be British or Italian.
It was an upper class accent, basically.
Raquel Welch, I want her to be Italian. I want her to have an Italian accent.
No. But these are all American actors who are being ensnared.
I know. I'm just saying the idea of Raquel Welch. I think if you ask...
Well, if you ever watch her TV special from 1970,
yeah.
you can see her doing all kinds of things, strolling around Paris.
Yeah.
So she gets to be a little French If that helps you.
Yeah, well, no, she's a little French in this thing too. She's, they're bumping down the little French side
Well,
streets.
I don't know.
And
She's with Ian McShane.
There's the prostitutes. Yes, well, we should talk about Ian McShane because it's unbelievable that it's Ian McShane in this movie.
I know.
He's so
had a long
young
career.
and he's tiny.
Yes,
He comes across as like a really small guy in this movie. But you think of modern day Ian McShane, you think that he's this burly guy.
Well, he's older and he's probably filled out a little bit, but
he's got a great accent. Ian McShane has
he's English, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I think this is just an absolutely dazzling film.
The most charming thing that I love about
and
this
you cannot
movie,
remake this. Fine Line, I think, or New Line, one of them.
Yeah. It's the St.
2012. They were looking for a writer to reboot this. You can't reboot The Last of Sheila.
You can't remake anything. I hate remakes.
Not only do I hate remakes, but you especially can't remake this one.
I mean, there's a few good ones. I think Sorcerer. I think William Friedkin's Sorcerer.
I don't know that one.
You don't know that?
No,
it's a remake of Henri Georges Clouzot's The Wages of Fear. Do you know that movie?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great remake. But good remakes are very few and far between. If you're gonna bother, you gotta really.
Why did they bother to remake Overboard? That movie is fantastic as is. It doesn't need gender reversal. Anna Faris, come on. You've already got a sitcom. Don't be greedy here. Leave Goldie and Kurt to their one cult classic.
It's laziness. It's just
It
laziness.
is pure laziness because they can't think of anything.
I've given up on Hollywood. It's all superhero movies. If I never see another superhero movie
I was
again,
not a kid who read comic books, dude. I was watching The Last of Sheila.
I was doing it all. I had comic books, but I read like Sergeant Rock. They don't do Sergeant Rock.
I was reading Flashman
and Master of Kung Fu.
Yeah, I wasn't interested. I wasn't a typical American kid by any stretch of the imagination. Movies like this that sort of glorified glamour and adulthood were, to me, just like I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to grow up.
What you just finished a play? I want to hear a little bit about the play that you finished, and I want to hear about what you have coming up next.
Well, I just finished a very, very rigorous, very cerebral play by the Austrian Nobel laureate Elfriede Jelinek, who's won the Nobel Prize for Literature, I guess, 5-6 years ago, maybe. Jelinek is a very, very dense writer. She wrote The Piano Teacher. Okay, that was sort of based on her life. She's a very kind of odd, kinky woman.
You don't say.
Rechnitz, which I just did for the wonderful, wonderful director, Hungarian Ildikó Németh, and her company, which is called New Stage Theater Company.
Now, what was the play?
It's called Rechnitz, and it's about this incident in 1945 on the eve of Palm Sunday, 2 days before the Russians invaded Hungary and Austria. This countess has this very big, grand Dionysian bacchanal, in which culminates in some 180 Jews in a work camp on her estate being exterminated by 15 of the guests who were given arms and just told, let it rip.
Wow.
And then they went back to the party.
Yikes.
Like nothing happened.
They
made these poor people dig their own ditches, graves. They threw them in there, and then they went back to the castle and just continued drinking all night. So it was this story of this being told through testimony, as Jelinek writes it, through the testimony of 7 messengers, of which we are an ensemble of messengers, 7 people on stage, 90 minutes. It's very intense. It's not conversive. It's very almost declarative in each of the pronouncements that we were all delivering.
What theater was it?
This was at the New Stage Performance Space, which is on 106th in Central Park West.
Okay.
It's a wonderful sort of black box theater in the basement of a youth hostel.
Great.
It is everything I want in a New York theater.
Wow.
Really kind of intellectually rigorous work, foreign playwrights. I was in pig heaven, and I got to tell you, it kicked my ass. I had so much trouble getting off book for this thing that right up until we opened, right up until we opened, I mean, I was really learning fucking a lot. It was so dense. Text was out of control, but it was the greatest, probably the hardest challenge I ever had.
How many performances did you do?
We did 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12.
Wow. That's a lot of work for 12
it was
performances.
A lot of work, dude.
Yeah.
I'm doing a play later in the summer that's kind of a fun, sci-fi thing out in East Hampton at Guildhall.
Okay.
For Roy Scheider's son, Christian.
Oh, interesting.
You mentioned
Roy Scheider,
Jaws.
who was in Sorcerer, by the way.
And Jaws.
Of course,
And
Jaws.
he and 2 other...
and all that jazz.
Yeah, well, he's fantastic as Fosse.
Absolutely. Perfect.
Christian and Tucker Martyr and Isla Fisher are 3... I guess they're Bard graduates because my very good friend Molly's daughter went to school with them. And Molly is an actress I know and have worked with several times and will work with again in this play called The Summit. We're doing that in August. I'm shooting a film in Portland, Oregon sometime this year. And then
I'm so glad that you said Portland, Oregon. It kills me when people just say Portland because there's 2.
Well, no, I'm a Mainer first before I'm
There you go.
an Oregonian.
There you go.
I make the distinction very clear.
There you go.
Yes, I have very close friends in Maine, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't do
Moi
that.
aussi.
Moi aussi, it's right. I'm also making, and then I have had this wonderful young British filmmaker by the name of Charlie Williams, who edited a sort of a grindhouse horror I did called Bag Boy, Lover Boy.
Okay.
He was the editor on that film, directed by Andres Torres, and he and Andres thought that I would be a good documentary subject. They thought, well, Theo works all the time and blah, 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 and he works hard and he hustles and he's, but he's just, he struggles and he's not 26, he's 56. And, therein sort of lies the kicker to the whole.
Sure.
And that's what he's been doing for the last year, on and off, because he goes back to work in London and then he comes back here.
All right, so
that's me in a
so
nutshell.
if somebody wants to see you, they can find you in East Hampton at the end of the summer.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend for 9 performances.
There you go.
Into September.
And the name of the play again?
It's called The Summit.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody look up Theodore.
Well, or you can also find me on IMDb.
That's right. I was just going to direct them to spell your name for our listeners so they can look you up.
Well, Theodore is pretty easy.
Standard,
right?
yeah.
Standard. Although if we were in Germany, there'd be no E on the end. So I'm not like Adorno, the philosopher. I'm Theodore.
There you
like
go.
Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And then Bouloukos is spelled B as in boy, O-U, L as in love, O-U, K as in kite, O-S as in Sam, Bouloukos. Yeah, there you go. I mean, and I have Twitter and social media. I don't really have Facebook anymore because I had an actor page. I kind of shuddered.
Yeah.
I attract some real freaks.
I find that Facebook for some reason, the FB it makes me feel bad. I post the podcast stuff on Facebook and I do a little bit of the walking tour stuff, but I really had to break up with Facebook once a certain.
I'm trying to get rid of it actually.
Once a certain person became president, I just couldn't. Yeah. I couldn't stand it anymore. I found it to be a huge time suck. I need my time. I like my time.
I like Twitter and I like Instagram.
I like Twitter. It's short. You can just and Instagram's fun too.
I really enjoy Instagram.
Yeah.
And I enjoy Twitter because I'm not a good self-promoter, Cole.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all I can do to just post something. And for whatever reason,
I'm not good either.
Instagram feels less invasive because I don't look at the news feed for anyone but me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I know there's another you can switch it over so you can see what other people like.
Yeah.
I never look at that. So I only know what I post, and therefore I'm not reminded of what I post except for the people who like it, which is a small nucleus of people.
Yeah.
Twitter feels anonymous to me, and I do have a new website that's being designed by a guy named Andy.
What's the name of the website?
The website will be itheodore.com, and that will give me license to talk about myself, and I won't feel quite as vulgar as I do when I post on Facebook.
Well, thank you so much.
Cole,
it's been such a terrific pleasure having you on the podcast.
Kind of light I shed on the Last of Shelia, but we certainly covered the waterfront.
Absolutely.
Everybody, this is like a fucking Cecil B. DeMille picture.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody, and including the Marx Brothers, is in this podcast. Oh my God, we have talk about we zigzagged.
That's the beauty of the Grand Bouffe. It's a big feast,
and
sometimes the food gets all over the floor, on the ceiling, on the walls,
everywhere. It's like we have had our bacchanal, haven't we?
Indeed.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Cole.
you, sir. It's been a pleasure. I want to thank you all so much for listening. Please do us a favor and go to my Patreon page if you would like to, and pledge $5, as little as $5 a month if you'd like. And please remember to turn your cell phones off in general all the time, but especially when you're walking, driving, riding a bicycle, or seeing a movie. The Grand Bouffe, The Big Feast, is a production of Smart New Media.